Hey guys, welcome back to the Hat House. This is volume 2 of just the sales. I've been trying to put together these videos just to put our sales back to back to back. If that's what you really like, a lot of people just like hearing what has sold in the past year. So I put those videos all together right here. I should have another installment, maybe 2 coming out. One last thing before we get to the sales. I have been working hard on the hat shapers. Now is the time to get one. They go pretty quick. I've got a little bit of an inventory built up. You can always reach out to me on Instagram. I also have them listed on Etsy and eBay, but that comes with the shipping charge. The best deal is if you reach out to me on Instagram and I can get you one. The small one is $25, the big one's $30. But let's get to why you're here. Let's get to the sales. All right, first up going out today, besides the big order, is this $20 vintage camo fishing hat right here, probably from the late 80s, early 90s. Really cool fishing hat with all the pins on it. 20 bucks, took the offer on this one. A great vintage hat. Next up was a really cool streetwear brand you want to be on the lookout for. Crowns Guam had this nice little leaf, kind of silver, kind of I don't know, pretty shiny. But anyways, this is the brand right here, Crowns Guam. This went out for $30. It had this little side here right here. Really good brand right here. They regularly go for $30. This one still had the tag on it too. Really cool hat. Next up, this vintage Ferro Lines. Really cool trucker hat right here. I think this is a transportation company. Sold in about 12 hours for $25 on this trucker hat. Somebody must have been looking for it. I think I picked it up on Whatnot and sold for $25 on eBay. All right, if you were watching the unboxing live, you would have seen I got this hat for like, I was like, it's Timberland, but I might just lot it up, and sold for $19 in like 24 hours after we listed it. I went ahead and decided to list it because it was camo, and camo is hot as always. 19 bucks on this Timberland hat. I'll take it. It was like new though. All right, next up, kind of wild. Both of these sold to 2 different people on the same day. One went for 22, one went for 14. I took an offer for 14 on one, and then I had another one in my store, and somebody scooped it up, I guess, before it went away. They must have been watching both of them and saw one sold. So 2 different people, same day, same hat. Kind of crazy how it works sometimes. Next up, you know I love the fishing hats, and this is what I'm talking about. When people say, can you still find hats out there? Or everybody is getting all the good sports hats. It doesn't have to be. This is $31 on this awesome vintage fishing hat right here. Really cool hat. A lot of people would they wouldn't pay $5 for this hat to try and flip it. But this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Is the stuff that I look for when I'm out and when I'm sourcing. These are the things that I go for because I know that I can flip them pretty good. $31 plus shipping on this one. And then the New York Yankees went for $28. It was a nice kind of different color, right? And it was a size 7.5, so great size. Keep that size priced up. And then in gray, New York Yankees, all those things make this $28 nice New Era hat. All right, next up, this Boston hat went out for $49.95. It went full price on this, 7.5. This is kind of last year's 4th of July. So these are going to continue to do well. I have a few left in my store. Like I said, awesome size, 7.5. Took a while to sell. I got a lot of $15 offers on this hat, but I was like, no way. Somebody will love this Boston hat and will pay 40 bucks for it. And they did. All right, last up for today, $22 on this New Jersey Devils 1995 Stanley Cup champions. Not a great hat brand. It was on this universal snapback, just kind of screen printed on, but definitely a vintage hat. New Jersey Devils stuff sells really great. $22 on this one, great sale. All right, guys, last thing going out today, Beecham got another one. Got a free hat going out to him from the members draw. We're packing it up right now, sending it out. Really appreciate the members that we have. $1.99 gets you in a free drawing every week for a cool hat just like this one. All right, next week's hat, that's going to go for free. I'll probably draw it by Wednesday or Thursday. Probably do it on a live just like I did the other one. A brand new Puma hat, white and gray snapback hat right here. Still has the tags on it. Everyone that's a member, $1.99 level or $19.99 level, will be in the drawing for this hat. So make sure you get in there, you get signed up today and a member, and then get a cool free hat. Right now they got a 50-50 chance. So the odds are ever in your favor. Sign up. Let's get to what was actually the best sales in this 100, because I always want to show you that. All right, guys, let's talk about combined orders again. First, we got 7 hats going out right here for $45. Working on another huge combined order in our store customer. Hopefully it'll pay off 100 hats. We'll see. Hopefully I get that in this episode. But 7 hats right here, $45 combined order because we messaged. Next up, the price of Patagonias are coming up a little bit. These were a little different colors too. They weren't kind of the normal. $34 for these 2 Patagonias. This one wasn't in the greatest of shape, but Patagonia hats, $34. I'm happy with that. And next up, about $100 for these 3 Seattle hats. They got some really cool vintage Seattle in the store. This one was a 7 and an 8 diamond collection. And then this really cool Seattle with the silver bill. And then this Seattle right here, kind of different colorways on these 2. And then a nice diamond collection on the first one. $300 for these 3 hats. Great deal and some collectible hats. And last up on the combined orders today, $27 for a Batman corduroy and an I Love Bowling corduroy hat. Corduroy's still selling, not the best prices right now, but I will take $27 for these 2. All right, first up, I have to take back the negative stuff I've been saying about Patagonia. I sold 2 for like $34, and then this Patagonia right here went out for $17 as well. But I find that the ones that aren't mesh back do a little bit better. $17 on this one, sold super fast. Nice little green and kind of off-white Patagonia hat. And a Jordan hat went out for $20. This was a little bit different. The buyer said he actually collects these Jordan types of hats, kind of the lightweight, running, kind of dry fit type of Jordan hats. $20 on this one. Really nice Jordan hat. And I was talking negatively in a live, I think, about Undefeated, but this one went for $18. So it was in really good shape. The gray, they call it 5 strikes. It usually has these 5 strikes on the front. 5 strikes Undefeated by the hundreds. Snapback, $18 on this one. Really good sale. I'm pleased with it. And an Oregon Ducks hat went for $18. I always tell you these, some people call it center swoosh. I mean, they made the hoodies that had a center swoosh like right here. And it's kind of bled, that name is kind of bled over into the hat market a little bit, calling this center swoosh. But the swoosh with the name does really well on these. $18 on an Oregon Nike hat. And I was telling you guys about US Open stuff, and this one went for $20. US Open 2000 vintage hat right here. I tell you guys, I always pick up the tennis stuff, especially the vintage tennis stuff. There's a lot of golf stuff out there, but the tennis stuff sells too. 2000 US Open. This was on the Twins Enterprise tag too. And this is how we date. This is how we date hats. And we know that this tag right here is probably early 2000s. It's going to be vintage now. Just kind of look out for when you get anything dated on the hat. Take a look at the tag and remember that tag, what the time period was for that tag. So when you see another hat, you know whether you call it vintage or not. Next up is the Under Armours. I priced it up a little bit. This one was really cool. It's had US Navy on it and it had a flag. Really cool Under Armour hat. $26 on this Under Armour hat. Most Under Armour hats are $10, but when you have something unique and really cool like US Navy and a flag, price it up. And this is one I almost didn't even list. Volkswagen hat. I almost threw it in like a lot up pile, but it went for $17. Still had the sticker underneath here, was branded Volkswagen, had the Volkswagen tag. $17 on a Volkswagen strapback hat. I cannot complain. Guys, I guess Patagonia is just heating up. $17 on this Patagonia. This is the Buffalo Fitzroy Bison or Buffalo hat right here. $17 on it. And I take back everything negative I said about Patagonia. I think it's really just kind of more of a seasonal thing. Like during the winter, people aren't outdoors and doing their Patagonia type stuff. But now they are, and they're paying for the hats. So $26 on the Washington Huskies, size 7 3/8. Always tell you to keep a lookout for these. They sell really well. Usually they maintain a selling price over $20. $26 on this one, I'm happy with. And next, this Fanatics Chicago Blackhawks sold for $26. Picked this up on Whatnot. Really great price, and I got a really good deal on them. But the Fanatics new stuff still sells for over $20. Chicago Blackhawks snapback Fanatics, 26 bucks. And the LSU Tigers sold for $18. Picked it up in the same Whatnot show. Really love finding new hats. They can do really well. Top of the world, pretty good brand right here. LSU, and I always put, like, if it says anything special, like it says Go Tigers right here, always put that in the listing. Sometimes people are looking for a hat that says just that, and you're the one that's got it. And my patch hats, or my pocket patch hats, are still selling. I got a few of them left. These are super cool. $18 on this one, Monterey, California. And next is one you might just skip over because you think it's plain and it looks junky. But this Cabela's hat is a vintage. It's kind of a leather suede. The suede isn't even in that great a shape, but it's definitely vintage. Had the Made in USA tag here, the old Cabela's here. Strap back, $20 on this. It was a really older hat, but still they retain their value when it's a really quality hat. Now, I don't know why, but I looked it up and I saw these. How much?
35.
This one went for $35, and that's the price. A lot of them sold between $25, $35, close to $40 on Washington Capitals 2018 Stanley Cup champs. I will tell you, a lot of hats like the champion hats, or the Stanley Cup or Super Bowl or whatever, that sometimes they don't have very good value, especially when they're made by Nike and whatnot, and they take forever to sell. But this is a Bolo one, basically. People will pay for $30 regularly for this hat right here. And another great sale, the Mercedes-Benz Vintage 80s rope hat went for $39. It was on the Dorman Pacific with the skinny snap. Most of the time, if you see these skinny snaps, it is 80s. You can definitely tell this is just a older vintage hat right here. Mercedes-Benz, of course, is awesome. $38. Man, I sold some of my favorites this week. Ebbets Field flannel. This one still had the tags on it. I think somebody else had one out there in basically the same condition as I did. How much did mine go for? $30. I think they were priced around the same, but glad to get the sale before they did. And it was basically new with the tags. Cervasi Polar. I know I just messed up that name.
It's close.
Cerveceria Polar. So really cool hat. Even if you can't say the name, you can spell it. Next up, this Vintage Cool went for $35. And I took a little time on this one. This one I did shape up, put a little steam on it. Got it in really good shape. $35 on the Cool cigarettes are doing awesome. If I would have just sold it in the condition that I had it, it probably would have been a $20 hat. But I was able to shape it up a little bit to get $35 on this one. Really cool cigarettes. And a cool vintage Raiders trucker hat right here went for $24. Definitely 80s, early 90s Youngin tag right here. Yeah, it had the Youngin snap on it as well. Nice little foam Raiders hat, $24 on this one. And a New Era snapback, Minnesota Twins, black on black, always sells really quick. $18 on this one on a snapback. That's right about the right price. I would say that it would land. This was in great condition. They got a nice Twins hat. And this LA hat went out for $22. It was just different. So I kept it priced up over $20 on the American Needle tag. The LA logo was a little bit different. So I kept it priced up, and somebody paid $22 for a dad hat, and they got a cool one. And the Seattle Supersonics went out for $21. It was vintage on the Twins Enterprise, kind of wool blend. Even in a strap back version, $21. Seattle Supersonics still doing pretty well on the Sonic stuff. I don't know if it's because the Thunder are doing well, so people want to wear their Sonic stuff to a Thunder game. I don't know. Maybe. And I told you I had some cool flat caps. This Stetson vintage in really awesome shape. Still had the size on it, which I always love on flat caps. It seems to always fall off. This was like a wool blend Stetson flat cap. Went out for $29. $29 on the flat cap. Can't complain about that on a Stetson hat. Next up, maybe I underpriced this. Somebody might be flipping this on top of me. The Mickey Mouse golfing stuff is kind of all over. I did spend a little time on this one too and shaped it up really nicely. Looked really good. $25 on this Mickey golf hat right here. Vintage, really great hat. They got a great hat here. If they're wearing it, awesome. If they're flipping it, good job. My vintage Seattle went out for $29. This one's set behind me on the wall forever. And finally, I found someone to do snaps for me. Bread Boy's Vintage. He's on Whatnot. He replaced snaps, like 10 snaps on hats for me. And I got this one back. He did an awesome job on just changing out the snaps. Some people try to find the original snaps. I don't really worry about that too much. I just want it functional. If they are worried about having original snaps, they probably don't mind changing out the snaps again themselves. So I just try to get it wearable. If somebody really loved this hat, wanted to wear it and had some fresh set of snaps on it, then I'll sell it. So $29 on this one. Great price. These AJADs do awesome. And I think I talked about this one on a live. This one went for $20 because it had a really cool logo on it and in great shape. Just a regular 47 snapback. Sometimes you're just looking at a hat and you're like, man, that is a cool hat. Somebody will still pay $20 for that one. I want to keep it priced up, and this one did. And another pocket patch hat, Big Sur, California, went for $20 as well. Both they went up to separate people, so these hats are selling really well. The pocket patches on them, really cool hats. These are made by Bart Bridge. Really cool hats, 20 bucks. Next up, Cleveland Indians, Wahoo, Chief Wahoo. A really cool hat right here, $30 on it. Had the World Series side embroidery on it. Snapback. Wasn't the cleanest on the inside. $30, I think I'm okay with the sale, and they got a good price. So hopefully they love this hat. And next up, probably the coolest hat of the day, $50 on this Blue Diamonds. It's like a Navy hat. What did I call it?
Blue Diamond Strike Fighter Squadron.
Navy Strike Fighter Squadron. It was pretty small, but you're talking like a 1970s hat right here. Kind of this felt material. Really collectible hat. $50 may have been too low, but it's sold really quick. I hope it's going to somebody that really loves this hat. It was maybe in this the Strike Fighter Squadron, the Blue Diamonds. I hope it's going to a good place like that because it is a really cool piece of kind of history and really cool military hat. And Brixton hats can still get $25 to $26. This one did awesome because it was in excellent condition. Basically like new. Kind of had this suede bill on it. Really cool Brixton with the circle patch. Basically like new. $26. Condition a lot of times is just everything. If this was a little beat up at all, it would probably be a $10 hat. But this one was almost perfect, so I got $26 for a Brixton. Cannot complain. And you saw this one on the live too. It went for $35. I kept this one priced up. The Army Green is so hot right now. Keep it priced up. But also the 940 style will go for a little bit more. $35 on a LA Dodgers hat. Cannot complain about that. They got a really cool one too. First up, I took an offer on this. It's probably a $45 hat. Is new. It's this McLaurin hat. It's actually going international. I took $30 for it. And guys, if you get hats for $1 or $2, why not just take $30 right now? I mean, I know everybody has their own different business model, but a lot of times I'll just take $30 instead of waiting for a month to get the extra $10. There was also a pretty big seller on this listing too. I had a lot of these new ones for like $40 or $45. Next up is, I need to clean it off a little bit, but got some threads on it. Next up was a great sale. $33 on this New York Mets. This was a Roman Pro, 7 1/4, $33 on this. The sweatband on these usually go bad pretty quick, but this one stayed really good. The leather sweatband, I usually try to keep it in great condition like this, $30 to $40. Sometimes you can get even more for Roman Pros, but pretty cool little hat right here in awesome condition, 33 bucks. Next up was this John Deere. I call it it's kind of a trapper. I don't know exactly what you would call it besides that. I just always make sure I put like ear flaps, insulated, lined. It's kind of a trapper hat. This was a K brand for $44 on this one. Beautiful condition John Deere hat right here. I knew it would get a really good sales price on this. I think I got it on Whatnot. So pretty good flip there. Awesome John Deere hat. Next up, we got another combined order, $74 on these 4 hats. I think first they started with $25 on this, and I took the offer, and it was lower. I wanted $30 to $35 or more for this cool Patagonia hat, but it led into a $70 sale. And you just don't know sometimes, guys. If people end up taking the deal, combining some orders, and got the rest of these hats for a total of $75. This was a Long Hollow Ranch hat. And then we had a Kings Mill Golf Club hat. And then we had another cool rope, Get Lost by Cole hat right here. So 4 really cool hats. They got some good hats right here. And it started it off by giving them a decent deal on the Patagonia. I told y'all I don't sell hundreds hats for that much. This one only went for $15. Maybe it's more. I'm really looking for somebody out there that has sold a hundreds hat for over $20. If you have done that, please stand up and let me know what I can do differently to get good money out of the hundreds hats. And next up, did I undersell this hat? I sold it for $20. It was a really cool Mighty Ducks hat, but it was on the Zephyr, so it wasn't on the greatest tag, but it had a really cool kind of big logo here. I think somebody else has their like price for $70 or $80. And sometimes I don't look everything up. I thought a Zephyr hat, cool logo, $20 to $30. I don't know, maybe I did, but I don't know, 20 bucks. And I got $35 for this hat, Ken Griffey Jr., the Kid Awesome youth hat right here. You don't really get $35 on many youth hats, but I can just imagine somebody buying this for their son or their daughter and having them wear the Kid Ken Griffey Jr. hat. Definitely worth it. Super cool for a youth hat. $35 is a great price too. It was a really, really cool hat. And only $15 for this one, but I bring it up because the Olympics are coming, right?
Yep.
August usually is when the Olympics are, but the Summer Olympics are coming. Red, white, and blue stuff is going to get big, and especially Olympic stuff is going to be huge over the next few months and will really help us through kind of the summer slowdown period that we usually have in July and August. I think Red, White, and Blue and Patriotic America stuff will be really good to help carry us through the summer slowdown. All right, guys, first up today was a really cool hat, Roger Federer strap back. It's going out to China, so really good sale right here, $43. Even was pretty sweat stained, and I don't ever suggest that you sell dirty hats. I don't say sell dirty hats, but do junky hats sell? I would call this kind of junky, and it just kind of depends, right? I mean, Roger Federer hats get a premium. I don't think there was another black on black one out there. So even though this one was really distressed, it will still sell. And I don't ever want you guys selling dirty hats. I don't think that's the way to go in the hat selling business. But just because one is faded, even though it's still really good, people may still pay up. And $43 to China, they probably ended up paying, I don't know, $60, $70. And Mary, haven't we sold like 3 or 4 hats over the past 3 days that have been just kind of messed up a little bit?
Yeah, we sold a Padres hat that was really faded.
Yeah, the Padres hat was a blockhead. So, I mean, you're talking about in that great condition, it would have went out for hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, and then we had a 5-panel Patagonia that was really faded, but I mean, 5 panels, they usually do pretty well anyway. And then we also had a Days of Thunder movie hat, and it was faded and not in great shape. But we made all 3 of them a little over $60. So list the faded. So
that's $100. That's basically $100 in the past 3 days that we made on hats that people may not even list, or that people throw away, that you find in the trash sometimes. But they were really good hats. So if you see a hat that you don't think anybody would want, just because it may be faded, you never know, especially if you already own the hats. It's tough out there when you're sourcing sometimes to make a decision whether to buy something or not buy something. But if you already own them, you got to make sure and look them up. And if they are good, don't be afraid to still ask a little higher dollar for them, and you may get it. You may settle in a while. This took about 6 months to find the right buyer that was overseas to spend $40, $50 on a hat. But it finally sold, and I just knew because it was Roger Federer, and you should know this logo by heart now. If you ever see it on Nike hats or any other hats, you got to pick these Roger Federer ups, the RF. Next one, another one I tell you not to underprice. This was low profile. It went out for $20 on this. Buyer offered like $10 and $15, and then used all their offers up to $19 and wouldn't take the $20 that I sent them originally that I would take for the hat. But then later on that day, lo and behold, it sold for $20. I'm assuming it was the same person. So appreciate the purchase. Low profile hats, still kind of hard to find. Yeah, Colorado Rockies usually doesn't do that well, but being low profile, tough to find sometimes. And if you find your size in great condition like this one, it's worth $20. Next up, these military naval hats sometimes do really well too. They're kind of hit and miss. A lot of them will go out for $10. This one went for $21. This was the USCG Super TCEN, maybe, in Seattle, and the address is going to a Admiral. So if you watch the channel Admiral, appreciate the purchase. Thank you so much. Glad I could get this hat to you. It was a really cool one, and just the more rare ones that you see are the ones that you could price up sometimes, as always with hats. Next up, I sold an NBA hat. This one went for $17, only because I believe it was cool and it had the all over print, kind of Southwest print on it. These San Diego hats do pretty well. $17 for snapback NBA. I will take it. Next up, this one went for $40, and I sold the other two. It was this 22 brand I was telling you guys about a while back. $40 on this hat right here. 22 makes some really cool streetwear brands. This was Los Angeles. I didn't call it Dodgers because it's not like officially licensed Dodgers. And that's the way I go usually on these that sometimes look kind of like the New York Yankees or look like the Los Angeles Dodgers. I just put LA Baseball in the title. So I couldn't get a Vero. This one even had this suede underbrim right here. This hat was really cool. A really well-made hat. That brand is 22. Keep a lookout for it. Really awesome hat brand. Next up is just all about style, right? So we had a nice little script, Oregon State Beavers, even though it was on the Top of the World, which you're typically not going to get that great a sales price on Top of the World hats. The script sold it for $26. Really nice wool hat right here. Just know when you have the in-demand style, you can still ask more than you would typically for a Top of the World. And I had another melon hat that I sourced off Whatnot. I got it for like $5. Went out for $32 in about 24 hours. This was another one of the A-frame models. Keep a lookout for the melon hats. They make really cool golf hats too. I get the just regular blank ones, but they can get really pricey. They have nice, cool rope hats with all over prints on them. They have all sorts of hats that you can get well over $30 for. This one's just kind of plain and basic, so I took $32. And the Patagonias that I like, this Live Simply with the golden guitar, nicely embroidered, $22 on it. I had it for a while. Some of the Live Simplys can go a little bit more than that, but I was happy to take $22 on this Patagonia right here. Really cool hat. Next up, source this one on Whatnot too. And I got to keep saying that because Mary always gives me an eye when I'm buying a bunch of stuff on Whatnot. And it sells though for $25, size 7.5, Vancouver Canucks. I think I picked this up for like $5 or $6. Really nice, fitted. It was Fanatics even, and the Fanatics can still go for $20 to $25 like this one did. New Era would probably be a little bit more, maybe in the $30 price range, brand new like this. But don't be afraid of the new Fanatics either. There's a following for them. First up, we had a Nashville Sounds MILB minor league team right here. Pretty cool hat. A 7 and an 8, so really close to my danger size of 7. But this one went out for $31. Did a little bit of shaping on these, a few hats in this batch. So I've been trying to take a little more time, especially with the new eras right now, and get them in a little bit better shape before we take pictures of them. So I shaped this one up a little bit. Turned out really good. It was pretty good inside as well. So you can see how clean it was. $31 on this. Minor league stuff's doing well because the next one's minor league too. And next, Texas or El Paso Chihuahuas. This was 7 3/8. I think we just talked about this hat on the last video, and it already sold in about a day and a half. Really great hat right here. Really cool El Paso Chihuahuas logo. Minor League Baseball. Doing awesome. Next up was this vintage Harley Davidson, and it went out for $20. And I don't know sometimes on Harley how long I should wait to get my price, or if I should have held to around 30, but it had this cool older Harley Davidson tag in it right here. I would say it was kind of a puff print on it, but it's just kind of a plain logo. I mean, if it would have had like eagles and flags and motorcycles and girls in bikinis or something like that on it, maybe I would have been more like, no way, I'm getting 40 or 50 bucks for this thing. But it was kind of a plain logo. So I took the $20, pretty quick sale. Next up, this vintage Patagonia sold too. We just talked about it last week. Went out in a few days. $40 on this one. And I know y'all think I'm crazy sometimes that I ask $40 or $50 for these hats right here. But they are really cool hats. And being Patagonia, here's the Patagonia on the back. They are just really nice hats and they will last forever. Here's the inside tag on this Patagonia. It was made in USA, kind of older, vintagey, probably kind of early Y2K actually. But still, either way, these hats are awesome. And I don't want it to be a complete I told you so video, but last week we talked about this hat too because I just got it in. It was the Memphis Tigers, and I was like, man, if I'd find an OU one in my size, I'd buy it for $20. A lot of people pass these up. This older franchise fitted, size large. This one was Memphis Tigers. Somebody probably just really been looking for this size large and bought it for $20 just like that. Took a couple of days. Next up is this Yankees pinstripe, and this one I shaped up to using the steamer, and I don't know if you can see, I use these little shapers. My friend that I used to work with is doing a lot of 3D printing, so he made me these cool shapers. He even put my logo on the inside of it, Hat House logo. They've worked really well on shaping up these hats like this, sticking them in here just like that, and then getting a good steam on them, getting the wrinkles out of them, and I'm pretty selective on which ones I do it with. A really cool Yankees pinstripe is definitely one that I will take a little time to try to make it look a little bit better, especially if it's pretty crushed. This one went out for $25, and it was on this older Drew Pearson right here. Really nice, kind of, it's not even really vintage, I don't believe. It's probably, yeah, it was made in China, so this one is probably even Y2K-ish, not really vintage, but really cool New York Yankees pinstripe hat. We hadn't had this loophole very long either. This is a vintage loophole. They make scopes, binoculars, other types of optics for hunting usually. Vintage, made in USA snap, camo. Took like 3 days, 18 bucks. And then I sold this Seattle Kraken a little cheaper, $15 for this snapback. I think I got it pretty cheap. So I took $15 on the Seattle Kraken. But if you ever run across the Kraken stuff, it sells super fast. There's not a whole lot of it out there. So they're kind of a newer team. So they haven't made a lot of merchandise. So it gets bought up pretty quick. Not necessarily for any higher price. It just sells faster because there's not as much out there. So if you see the Kraken stuff and you want a quick flip, pick it up. Next up, this Illinois Nike. It was a fitted size 7.5 on this one. Got several of these on Whatnot for anywhere between $5 to $10 I paid for them. So I'm going to have several of them. You'll probably see them going out over the next few videos. So I took 22 on this one to kind of get the ball rolling and start selling them and get some of my money back. But Whatnot really paid off in this auction. I believe I got it from Haley. If you haven't seen the interview with Coach Porch, I'll put it up here. We really talk about some of our favorite Whatnot sellers. And check them out because I scored these for, most of them were between 5 to 10, and I want to sell them between 20 to 30. So sometimes I'm doubling my money. Sometimes I'll be $15, $20 profit. It just kind of depends on the hat, the size, and then what offer you're getting if you feel like taking it that day. Next up, if you love to buy Patagonia hats, now is the time because the market has pretty much fallen out. for a lot of Patagonia hats. I got like $33 for most of these. They were kind of rough, so I will give it that. I mean, if you have a brand new Patagonia hat, you're probably still in the $20 range. But most of these went from like $8 to probably around $8 a piece, just regular Patagonias. It was good that I got a combined purchase though, so around $35 for 4 Patagonias. All right, buckaroos, it's sold. What did that take? A week? Not even a week. We got this in our Goodwill haul last week in that video, and then I sold this. I listed it like the day after, and it's already sold. I listed it for around $89. I told you it'd take $50 for it. Somebody offered it. Was it one of you guys? Did you need a cowboy hat? You knew I'd take 50. But anyways, I took 50, super quick sale, $50 on this one. How am I going to ship it? I'll get back to you. I'm going to try a couple different ways and see if I can figure out how I'm going to get this thing securely packaged. All right, so here's the method that I decided to go with. I wrapped it up in some bubble wrap, get some bubble wrap all around it, and then I'm going to put it in this box. Somebody had a really good size on the last video for a box, and I was going to go buy one. But since it's Sunday night, I'm just going to try it with what I have on hand, and I definitely have a bunch of these on hand. Some priority mail boxes. I'm going to put this in here. Then I'm going to put a little packing around it. So we've got it in here like so, with some packing around it, bubble wrapped. And then I'm going to put the same box on top of this box. And I think it should be pretty secure then. All right, so now I can just put, you can see the hats down in there now. And now I can just put these flaps down. It'll be pretty secure in this box right here. I'll tape it up really good all around the sides. You can hear that the hat's not moving around in there. It's going to be great just like that. If I did cowboy hats all the time, I would probably find another solution. It's pretty light. I think it would still maybe go ground. But since I had priority boxes, I'll just send a priority. Hopefully it's not going too far. Mary will yell at me here in a second if it's too much. But I'm going to go with this method because that's the boxes I have on hand. But there probably are better methods to get to ground if it's light enough. Let's check and see how much this one weighs. Well, it's 2 pounds, so I doubt I was going to be under a pound anyways. Well, it doesn't matter for ground anymore, does it? So maybe I could have saved a little bit, $2 or $3, but I think this will be all right. And with what I had on hand, I think we made out. Next up, awesome NBC Sports Specialties hat right here. Kind of the older one with the black tag. It was on the Young and Snap as well. But I got $35 for this one, and these usually stick between the $25 to $35 mark, just depending on how good of a shape yours is in. Mine was in really great condition on the outside, had a little bit of wear on the inside. Definitely happy with $35 on this NBC Sports set. All right, guys, first up is Ping Golf. Even had kind of the flexible bill on it. Pretty faded, $19 on a vintage Ping hat. Golf is doing awesome, guys. I keep telling the guys that I get my hats from, I'm like, I'm not seeing enough vintage golf in my boxes. I need you right now. Even in this condition, pretty old and beat up, still selling for $19, $20 on the vintage Ping stuff. And they may be even flipping this stuff for more than I'm selling it for. But really cool Ping hat. Next up, I don't recommend selling these types of hats all the time, especially like United States government stuff. But this was like Canada correctional facilities. Didn't have a problem selling it. Sometimes you can get in trouble for some of these, but this was really old and vintage. And it was Canada, so I thought it would probably be all right. I try not to list too much U.S. government stuff ever, but $14 on this one. Just want to let you guys kind of know about the government agencies. Just be careful. Next up, really cool vintage. It didn't sell for as much as I thought, but Cleveland Indians 1997 All-Star game was kind of basically dead stock. Had the tag on it. Only $16, but it was a really cool hat. So I don't know. This one just slipped through. Next up, Ed Hardy. This one took a while to sell, and Ed Hardy used to be like, you list it one day and it sells the next. Not so much. Still got $31 for this hat though, because it was in great condition. But Ed Hardy's not selling as fast, but still selling for pretty good money. Just make sure you have a real Ed Hardy when you list these two. Next up, pretty cool Raiders hat right here. The buyer left me a note wanting it to be wrapped in plastic or tissue paper. I have some tissue paper. I'm going to put some eBay tissue paper on it for sure because I have a feeling it's probably drop shipped. And they called it a vintage hat in the comments, but this is not a vintage hat. It is Team Reebok apparel, has the NFL site hit on it. Definitely not a vintage hat. Still a really cool hat, but I hope if they were drop shipping it, they didn't tell somebody else that it was a vintage Raider Grail or something like that, because this one's really not. But happy to sell it and happy to gift wrap it for you. Next up, really cool Playboy hat right here. Had the bunny and the patch on it. Branded Playboy. Took a while to sell, but still got $20 for this because it was a really cool color, really cool colorway, really cool Playboy hat. And we got $20 for the Detroit Tigers camo hat, a little bit older, kind of Y2K-ish, 2010 version, 7 1/8, not great size either. So glad to get 20 bucks for this awesome Detroit camo. And next up was this vintage Seattle Seahawks, was on this kind of Summers tag, but it was pretty old. I would guess late 80s, early 90s. I did take some time and shape and clean this one up a little bit. It went for $28, and I think I got probably $10 more than I usually would have got since I put a little bit of effort into this one, getting a nice shape, getting a little steam on it, and making it look good. Next up, I thought I would really get a little bit more for this one. Barstool Sports, it still had the tag on it, only went for $16. I had it 2 or 3 months, so I took the offer. It was on this golfer rope and with the script. I guess Dave Portnoy kind of sucks anymore. I don't know. I thought it would do well, but no love for the Barstool Sports anymore. So next up, kind of funny story on this one. It took us about 15 minutes to find this one. We usually pick items in about 30 seconds, but this one was 15 minutes. And I had to go back to an old YouTube video to figure out where this one went. Because we looked in the box that we said we put it in, but it was one of those videos where I had all these boxes lined up right here. And I was like, look, check out this Rogue One. It'll sell for like $20 to $25, a little bit more than the other ones because it's new era. And then I turn around and I put it in the wrong box after we already had it listed. And luckily I had a video evidence of where I put it. So really cool that we found it because it was on the opposite side of our shed. We would have never found it. Or it would have taken us forever. But so I'm glad we got it out to the customer. $20 on this one. This is a Rogue One, Rogue Squadron logo, and the large, extra large, really cool Star Wars hat right here. Going out for $20. All right, next up, NFL stuff still selling, and the Cowgirls got to sell too. $22 on this one. It was a $9.50 snapback. I kind of had this faux snake skin leather bill. Not my style, but somebody loved it. 22 bucks on the Cowboys. And next up, somebody got a really good deal on this one. $23 on the DeKalb Farm Agriculture all mesh snapback. It was on the K products. $23. Great sell. Great for the buyer, I think. This should really go a little bit higher. But good job. Next up, really nice Alabama Crimson Tide. $26 on this Nike hat right here. Really cool patch. Alabama Crimson Tide Nike hat. Sometimes they just get rid of these models or they're out of stock in there. Especially before the season starts, we're kind of in a lull between college athletics starting back up again in the summer or late summer. So sometimes people just really want that style and they'll pay up for it. Next up, ESPN. This is like a half cord. Cord in the front, mesh in the back. ESPN, nice patch on it. Really cool corduroy hat right here. Snapback, definitely vintage. They got a pretty good deal. $25 on this one. Really glad that one's going out. Next, sometimes it just takes some time to pay off for my favorite hats in the hat house. This one's been about 2 months now. $22 on this LRG. Really cool all over print. Sometimes it just takes a little time. One size, 5 panel, kind of paisley. Super great condition. $22 on this one. And cool colors, I can tell you guys all the time, $22 on a dad hat just because it was a really cool kind of a maroon color for San Francisco. Sometimes they're just hard to find and you got the only one in that color and you get $22 for a dad hat. Next up, combined sale here. So I took a little less for the Chicago Bulls than I wanted to. Starter, kind of this cool kind of checker almost. Here's the vintage starter tag. $24 on this one. They initially bought this one for $14 and then asked me what they could combine this one with. So I went with $24 on it. Still pretty good combined sale here. What is that? 24 and 14, $38 for these two hats. I'm pretty happy with that. This was a vintage starter Orlando Magic 2. This one just wasn't as cool, but happy with the sale. All right, I don't know if you noticed the hat change. Shout out to my son who went to Kansas City and got me this awesome hat. Really appreciate it. Just my size. Thank you, Tyler. I'm sure he'll be really embarrassed that I even shouted him out in my YouTube video and my little YouTube channel. All right, guys, first up, I don't do a lot of Disney, but this one was really cool. Disney with Neff, the collab, still had the cardboard in it. Went for $17 on this one. Pretty cool, almost in like new condition. All right, next up, this KVU hat visor sold for $22. Really happy with this sale. These KVU visors and hiking stuff is really going to take off over the next couple of months. KVU makes really quality kind of canvas hats, hiking, outdoor brand, quality stuff. Next up, really cool kind of rope golf trucker hat right here. Snapback, had this kind of, what is this called? Ripstop fabric on it. Kimo's Lahani Maui. Really cool Hawaii hat right here. $20 on this one. Really nice hat. Then a $19 sale on this Arizona Wildcats Nike hat. Really cool script. Always sells well. Just a regular flex fit Nike. $19. Can't complain with that. Next up, $27 on this Reds hat. It had Mr. Red on the front. It was also like these are the batting hats that are kind of this mesh, but they're not mesh, but they kind of look mesh. And this one was low profile as well. And it was great size, 7.5 low profile batting, kind of a mesh and Mr. Red on it. All those things, if somebody was looking for those particular things, that's why I got $27 for it, because I had it priced up. It was for a very particular buyer that probably wanted all those things in one, and I found them. Next up, I got $34 for the Chargers camo snapback. Really cool hat right here, basically like new, fended off the $10 and $15 offers. And do you guys think that people have like 2 eBay accounts? This is my conspiracy theory. I think they have one that they send low offers on and see if somebody bites, and then they send another offer from their other accounts. I think they're out there playing games all the time. But sometimes you just got to know when somebody will pay up for something. And $35 on this one. Pretty good deal still for them. It was a really cool Chargers hat. Next up, really nice polo hat. $19 on this one. Kind of purple with the gold pony on it. It was the newer version, but still really nice polo hat, $19. And today, this is list them in any condition day, because this Days of Thunder hat, super cool, $15 on this hat. You can see it was really faded. There's still somebody out there that will pay for this hat because it's a cool hat, nice movie hat. $15, I'm happy with it. It was in pretty rough condition, but still wearable. Somebody will love it. Los Angeles Lakers, $10, Mitchell and Ness. They got a great deal on this hat. It was pretty crispy, almost like new. Made it all the way down to $10. Had it forever. This is why I don't buy NBA, guys. I just don't get it. How a Lakers hat gets to $10. And next up, I was going to ship this one out yesterday, but I smashed it. And I messed it up a little bit, so I waited a day. I went ahead and steamed it up a little bit for the customer. Hopefully it's even better than the picture. But these Wrangler hats are really cool. $27 on this one. This is Wrangler Dale Earnhardt jeans. It's on the Chase tag. Snapback. Beautiful hat right here. Hope the buyer really likes it. Hope it's even better than it was pictured. Sorry I smashed it, but I fixed it. And 3 Stripes anymore, you just got to have like an awesome brand or an awesome patch, a well-known company. This was BRS rental service. Went for $14 on this one. Really cool, great shape 3-stripe trucker hat. Just not the market out there for these right now. Hopefully it comes back and these get really cool again, but $14. And next up, I don't sell a lot of Marvel stuff for very much, but this one might weigh like 2 pounds or something like that. They had this huge metal logo on this Punisher hat. Was pretty cool. $17 on this Punisher. Had a cool camo bill and the big metal logo. This can't be comfortable, right? I mean, does anybody have one of these? Ever worn one? I mean, I would think it would be like weighing you down all day long. Next up, still this fisherman's hat, and that's usually how I label these, is like a Greek fisherman's hat. They do better when you have a size on them. This one was kind of small, 7 1/8, but really good quality ones can go $20 to $30 usually. Just kind of depends on what brand and the quality that you have. And sometimes you just have to wait a minute for somebody that wants one of these. Next up, this Patagonia 5-panel hat sold like in 24 hours. Super quick, nice little 5-panel, even really faded like this. $21 on this hat. I took it as soon as I got the offer because you just don't know when they're faded. I mean, sometimes people will take it no matter what the condition. And then sometimes if they're faded, they just sit forever. So I wasn't going to take the chance. I took my $21. And the last hat up today just reinforces condition doesn't always matter. If it's a good hat, good brand, people are looking for it, just list it. I listed this Padres blockhead. It even had like a replacement auto snap. Took a close-up picture of that. Super faded. You could see had this defect on the bottom right here. Not that clean on the inside, but a banger hat. I mean, you're talking $100, $200 if you got one in like awesome condition. Mine was pretty beat up and just super faded. Still took $25 for this one and moved it super quick. I'm sure somebody will still love to wear this hat and have a good beater hat to wear around in their favorite style. Guys, this was Armadillo Hat Company, and they make some pretty cool hats. This one out for $19 plus shipping, as always, here in the Hat House. Even had the tag, Armadillo Hat Company. Cool rope on the front. This one sold super quick in less than a week. Really nice. It was in great shape too, almost like new. Next up, if you have the in-demand beanies, still list them. I mean, they will still sell. Vintage Patagonia beanie went out for $20 on this one. Super easy to ship. Just throw these in a poly bag, but $20, really good for April. All right, next up, I think I got this one from Coach on Whatnot, and hopefully I'm getting that in this episode today. I got this hat from him. It was, I think I paid like $7 or $8 for it, and then went out on eBay for $17 plus shipping. Nice big wide brim visor, women's. These do really well on eBay. Super great deal. Next up, this Stormy Chromer sold really quick, and I took $20 for it. Mainly because it was size 7, so it was a little bit smaller. It was kind of the wax canvas one, so really nice. These can go for more, especially if you have really good sizes. Price them up a little more than I sold mine for, but I'm happy with a quick sale, size 7 on a Stormy Chromer, $20. And next up, this might be the sale of the weekend. Super cool Patagonia hat. Took a lot of offers for like $15, $20 on this. Fended all those off, got 51, and really, that's a pretty good deal for the buyer too. This is one of those huge, wide duck bill, kind of spoon bill, flexible bill, fishing hats. These do really well, especially for like deep sea fishing. They do awesome. Really great Patagonia hat right here, $50 on this. Next up, I might have underpriced this one a little bit. Went out for $21. It's a really cool Oakland A 7 3/4. This was the Eric Emanuel edition. So it was a little bit different kind of fabric. It was kind of the really thick cotton. It was a really nice hat. Still had the tags on the bottom. But 7 3/4 for $21. They got a great deal. Next up, went out for $20. Vintage Rolling Stones. It was even kind of faded right here. But it was definitely on this vintage TI tag. Definitely from late 80s, early 90s probably. Had the rope on it. Really cool trucker hat here. Vintage Rolling Stones, $21. All right, next one to show you. This Polaris hat. Polaris stuff is still doing really well. This one went out for $28. Snapback Polaris. Had this embroidery all along the side. Polaris 800. Race, Indy Race. $28 on this one. It was a really nice hat. Really well made. All Polaris stuff doing really well, especially if it's branded Polaris like this one. Next up, these hats can do really well. This is Grassroots, California. They make all sorts of different kinds. They make fitted hats, but you'll know them when you see them. They usually have this lining in here, really colorful lining. Have the just all over print usually. This had an owl on it. Sold it for $25. Sometimes these go for $30, $40, $50. Look up which version you have, and you may be able to get more. Next up, this is a Jiffy roll-up hat right here. This kind are kind of the same way. If you get some really cool ones, they can go for $30, $40, $50. Mine went in the greatest condition, and I don't think it was the best color, kind of the 70s color. And this one was kind of small, 7 3/8. But these hats are pretty cool hats. For $20 on this one, really happy to get that. I sold it once and it came back because it didn't fit. Hopefully it fits this time. And then another Stormy Chromer went out. This was a women's Stormy Chromer because it had kind of this button on the side, size 7. This one went for like $15. The women's Stormy Chromers usually go for a little bit less. And also, again, size 7, so I took it. Next up, this one only went for $17, but still was a pretty cool Cat diesel power hat right here. It even had some snaps on the back that were not all in good shape. Still went out for $17, so happy to get that on the Cat hat. All right, next one. I'm going to let you in a little secret. St. Louis stuff does not sell the best. I don't know why. I get it all the time around here. It just does not usually have a great selling price. But this one was size 7 as well. It went for $7 on this hat, and it was really cool. St. Louis Cardinals hat with the star and everything. But only $7 on the size 7 in St. Louis. All right, next up, this was really cool. This was 42 is Jackie Robinson. So whenever you see 42 on Yankee stuff, it can do really, really well. 42 Jackie Robinson snapback, $20 for this one. Really cool logo and really good selling price a lot of times on Jackie Robinson stuff. All right, next up, Seattle Mariners. Really nice hat right here. This was a Cooperstown. And usually when you see Cooperstown, it's kind of a retro style or color scheme. And this one is kind of an alternate color scheme for the Mariners. $25 for this one. And we know to always keep a lookout for alternate logos and colors. They could do really well, just like this one, 7 3/8, $25. And another one that went out for only like $7. This was a really cool Toronto hat right here. 6 7/8, youth sizing. Tough to get the $20 mark that we would really like on New Era. Next up was a really cool cap. I took $14 for this one, but it's called Drizzabone, kind of like dry as a bone. It really is supposed to, it's kind of this wax cotton. They make some really cool hats right here. This one only went for $14, but I have seen some that have done a lot better out there. Mine just wasn't in the best of shape, but really cool hats. Kind of keep your eye out for these. Sometimes they do really well. And next up, Atlanta Braves. And not every great hat is, this one went for $20. This was American Needle, a little bit older, but not every great hat is super colorful. This one was pretty like neutral, natural tone color, Atlanta Braves, a little bit older. Still went for $20 on this one. It was in really great shape too. All right, next up, this hat took forever to sell because I had it priced up for a long time. $22 on this one. Coyotes, Phoenix Coyotes. Really surprised that it took that long and I only got $20 for it. They even had the back hit on the back. This was a really cool G-Cap NHL hat. I don't know. If you guys know why the Coyotes didn't sell that well or took so long to sell, let me know. Because this was, I thought it had this little defect right here, kind of a cut. So I guess that's why. But still, really cool hat. I would think it'd been at least 30 or 40, but I only got 22. And the 49ers sold. It was on my favorite hats in the hat house a couple of weeks ago. $22 on this script right here. They got a pretty good deal on this one. Started a sale this weekend, so it triggered a lot of sales, and this was one of them. Pretty good price for the buyer. They got a really cool hat for $20. I tell you guys, I avoid NBA like the plague because I don't know, maybe it's just me. I don't get that great of a sales price on a lot of NBA stuff. I did get 18 for this one. Really cool Denver Nuggets patch, kind of embroidered. Yeah, I think it's a patch. It's a patch on there. Really cool patch. Snapback, Mitchell and Ness. This one was super cool, so I got $18. Next up, really nice polo hat sold this weekend. This one had what is this? The Jeep Wagoneer, I think. It's one of the Jeep. What do they call it? The Woody. So it's called the Woody, right? Yeah, Jeep Wagoneer. I put in the title. I'm pretty sure this is a Woody. And then also had some sunglasses. Really cool all over type of embroidery on this. $30 on this polo. Really nice hat. And the other NFL script that I had sold this weekend too. This was Philadelphia Eagles. Went out for $22 as well. Really great shape. This was on the vintage bell tag by Mitchell and Ness. These do pretty well. $20 to $30 on these hats. And this one was super cool, Eagles. All right, and then two more MLB New Eras. These both went for around $20, $21. Really cool Oakland A's right here. Had the elephant kind of AL side hit. 7 3/8, super clean on the inside. And then Los Angeles Dodgers, also 7 5/8 on this one, a little bit bigger. Went out for $20 as well. MLB New Eras doing awesome. And then last on eBay today, we got a Masters visor. Went out for $17 on this as soon as I listed. Masters was on while I was listing, and we sold it immediately. And one Scully sale this weekend as well. Really excited about that. This Coca-Cola rope kind of golf hat, really great condition, super clean, $25 on Scully for the Coca-Cola rope snapback.